So when I came to the final sequence of Dolphin Street, the climax of the story, I should say, I had to think about how am I going to pull this off? Limited budget, limited resources, and we have within one scene, 2 musical numbers, 1 dance number, a dialogue back and forth, and a complete lighting and basic scene change when it turns all blue at the end. How do you do that when we only had 1 day to shoot this? I'll tell you, it wasn't easy, and I thought it was fun, but it was also kind of insane. And I'm super thankful for everyone that helped. I would have never been able to do anything if all of these people that helped me out weren't there. I came to the script, and I had to think, how am I going to introduce this whole world when Dolphin Street kind of starts off with just Bruno? Leading up to this is just his life. And we finally get to the place that everyone's been talking about, Dolphin Street, Tropicana, and we lead through the restaurant, we keep building it, and finally we're here. So I had to think, how are we gonna set up this place? Well, the nice thing about a oner is it's a long shot, and you can go from multiple framing techniques, right? So you can start off with a close-up, then you can move to a wide, then you can move to an extreme wide shot, then you can move into an extreme close-up. You can do dolly ins, dolly outs, trucking right and left. You can go all over the map. That's the greatest thing about it. It's the most flexible kind of shot because it's basically all of the shots combined together, and however you can craft it. It's a lot like a puzzle. Because when we start off with filmmaking, we're given a camera in a 3-dimensional space, and the camera can only look at one thing at one time. And we get all these tools, and we start practicing them and learning how to use them. But there comes to a point where we can combine them all together like a puzzle piece. So I have the script, I wrote it, like I said, and there was no other way to do this but the oner, which I'm not going to complain about because it's a lot of fun to do. So we get to the banquet hall, I want to say like a week before, and I kind of just start improvising the shot in my head, kind of speaking to my producer and my gaffer and my AD about it, walking around the place, mapping out how I'd like it to go. I unfortunately didn't have a DP for this film, so it was kind of just whatever I could think of. I really don't recommend that. Get a DP if you can. So I go around, I map it all out, and this is kind of what we came up with. So let's take a look at that, and I'll kind of just do a commentary over it. So like I said, this is an establishing shot. What that does is it's setting the scene and the tone. So we start off with Bruno, and we're moving through with him, right? So it's motivated, and he looks out. That's when we are free to go, because even though there's not something moving in front, there's somewhere to be, because it's a new space, and we're establishing this world. That's why the camera kind of is free after he looks, because the audience is gonna be thinking, well, what is he looking at? Well, let's go. And it's just that idea of storytelling, right? You're always going to the next thing and leading on through this world to every step. That hat was just coincidental, and it adds a lot. Here we get to Rita Reynolds. Now, my personal opinion is when a lead, or especially like an actress, enters into a scene, this needs to be an entrance. It needs to be the big thing, right? And so every time somebody glamorous or beautiful or significant enters your scene, really think about, how can you play this up? Is it the angle? Is it the editing? How can you really, the music, how can you build that moment? So I knew that the camera's flying through this stage. Well, there she is, and we push in to this dramatic push to her, and she walks. So we glide through along with her over to a new character that we introduce, the mobster And like I said, it's an establishing shot. So we're getting introduced to this whole new world through the different characters. Okay, so earlier I talked about motivated camera movement and how important that is, especially for a oner. Well, the camera should react rather than act. And this is a good example of that, because the first few takes, we forgot about that. And I remember that the camera operator, it's not his fault, would just kind of start moving. But by this take, I think it was like the 5th take, which is actually kind of surprising that we got it done so quickly. But he gets up and then the camera goes. So that's just kind of a tip. We almost forgot about that. And honestly, that would have kind of sucked because it's a big deal. So now we can follow with him. We have a reason for moving. We get to breathe a little bit. That's important too, just the pacing. And it's important to just have a still moment. Well, here we are with the dialogue. Now, we got an extra angle of this too, so we could cut, but we did run through the whole dialogue. And the nice thing about that is more coverage. Always get more coverage if you can. Run that camera, do not stop it, keep it going the whole time, or else you're gonna be wanting to jump out a window when you're in the edit room. Because it sucks when that edit could have worked if you just kept the camera on a little longer and asked the actor to do one little thing here and there. All right, I hope that helped and it was informative. If you have any ideas about the scenes that I showed you and ways that you could make them better, that would be awesome. I'd love to hear it. I hope that you can join me on my next video.